There comes a point in every wholesaler and real estate investor's life that you make the decision to hire somebody to generate leads for you. And that's exactly what we're talking about on today's podcast. We've got Dave with Call Motivated Sellers. And if you've ever wondered how to go out there and find the absolute best talent to bring you in leads, this is the podcast for you. Check this out. Welcome to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Dave Walker with Call Motivated Sellers. Dave, how are we doing?
Doing great. How about yourself, Brent?
I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this call because this is a question that I get probably more than any question ever in my DMs, in emails, in YouTube comments with my students in the Rhino Tribe is, when do I hire somebody to make calls for me? When do I get out of, doing the daily grind of making these calls and hire somebody to take that over? Because it's such a important and precious moment when you hand that over, because it makes or breaks your business. I mean, literally, lead generation is the engine of this train, and without it, we're stuck on the tracks. So
100%.
It's something that I want to get into with you. I also want to get into, best management practices, how to find the best talent, all of that. But can you give me a little bit of your experience, Dave? How many people have you hired? How many callers in the real estate business have you worked with? Kind of give us your background so that we can kind of set the table, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of a lot of these questions. And then I can just send this video to everybody that has a question, and you could answer it for them.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been with Call Motivated Sellers since 2018, and during that time I've seen, hundreds of clients and several hundred agents come through and work with us. Some stick, some don't. But yeah, we have been at this game for a while, and it is a precious moment. You're right about when to let go of talking to those people and being the first voice they hear in your entire business transaction. You're trusting somebody a lot.
Yeah. Not only that, but I mean, listen, the fact is, a lot of people that are getting into real estate, they have a lot of other responsibilities. They've got full-time jobs, or they're at school, or they're raising young children, and so they kind of have to find very specific times in their schedule to time block to be able to build their business. And sometimes the consistency with that is very difficult. And so you see kind of I'm doing a lot for my real estate business, and then all of a sudden something comes up and you have to put it on the back burner. What you're talking about is working with people that you're going to consistently get the phone prospecting leads, because you hire somebody to be able to do that. Right? And you guys work with all budgets. Let's just put that out there. You work with people that are just, they have really small budgets, all the way up to guys like me that have been with you guys since 2017, working with your top, these are the Rolls Royce of phone prospectors. So you work with all of those. And so what do you see? Do you see more people that are making that transition from them making the calls themselves? Or do you see more people that are part-time that are looking for somebody to kind of fill in and send them warm leads?
I mean, honestly, it is different from business model to business model, but there does come a time where pretty much anyone that's begun in this business, that's doing the cold calling themselves, realizes that it's a large investment of time. There's no guarantee that you're going to have a good contact rate during the time that your schedule allows you to reach out to prospects. It could be that you're just, hitting wrong, answering machines all day long because nobody's home at that time. Mm-hmm. Being able to blanket throughout the day and reach the prospects in order to get that first filter done of interested, not interested, moving on to the next ones where we actually build our 4 pillars and decide if we have a lead or not. That is something that at first I think all investors should do themselves.
Sure.
Because it does teach them the totality of the business. And I know that that's something that you're a big believer in, is getting on the phones and doing that when you get started. It's the beginning of the relationship. So it is a big deal when you hand it off, but there does come a moment where you have to look at the bottom line and say, can I afford to do this myself anymore? Or should I spend my time more wisely on second, third staged filtered leads that have already gone through some qualifications to better utilize my time on closures?
Love it. And so do you help with that? So I'm looking at the stats. So we got 143 million residential properties in the United States. And then we boil that down to the 6 to 10% that are showing signs of distress for whatever reason, whether it's the condition of the property, whether it's financial distress, whether it's emotional distress. One of those is those are the lists that we go after. We're not just calling through the phone book and hoping that people will sell us their property. That's not it. So you filter that down, and then you get the phone numbers for those properties, and then is the contact rate, and then how many contacts to leads, how many leads to contracts, and then how many contracts to closings. So in that process, where do you guys help out? You know what I mean? Is it helping the contact rate? Is it helping make sure that the data is really good? Is it helping to make sure, obviously, the more skilled the callers are, the more leads that they're going to get. But kind of break down how you help in that process.
Sure. Well, when it comes to doing this campaign, I mean, obviously you realize that you have to have your data, right? So although that's not something that we directly provide, we can give you advice on good sources for them.
Awesome.
It's important to spend the right money on your data and your skip tracing, because that's where you start. And if you start with cheap data, it's a lot to dig through to get those nuggets. The dialer, you have to choose, unless you're going to manually dial through everything, you need to get your auto dialer that you're going to utilize in order to go through the list right. I highly suggest it, even for a beginning investor, to go ahead and utilize an auto dialer. It organizes your call. It puts all the information right there in front of you, gives you a space to take notes. You can do follow-ups in a calendar very easily. Super important. So that's something that, our service, we obviously take care of that aspect of it. When it comes to the agent, we have basic process for what we're looking for, very much based off of the TTP program of looking for 4 pillars, motivation being one of the most important things, because we need to really understand why they want to sell by these means as opposed to something else. And obviously those can all be, tailored to customers and what you're looking for, but you got to have that. You have to have your data. You have to have your dialer. You have to have a focus of what you're looking for. When you buy that data, you're not going to buy just bulk any residential house. You're probably going to focus on something specific, something that you're comfortable with, whether it be probate, absentee owner, depending on if you're looking for unit properties or residence, whatever.
Yep.
It really is specific to what you're looking for in the area for you. But we can get you through the whole process of the lead generation up until the point of having a lead in your hand that has validity. It has been vetted a bit. It's been kicked around. It's got some meat to it, and it deserves your attention. If you can do that where you're filtering through your data without spending your time and getting only the data that has some meat to it, then your conversion rate's going to be way higher, obviously, because you're not doing all that entry work yourself. And for anybody that's looking to bring help on instead of doing it themselves, that's really what it comes down to. How do you get them to do it as good as you do, though, Brent?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, there's always going to be some fall off. If you're making the calls yourself, you're going to be the best. If you build the skills, if you do it over and over, you'll get to the point where you can sink your teeth into a lead and really build a good relationship, get on that appointment right away, speed the lead, get out and get that deal under contract. So there's definitely, you're going to have more success if you make the calls yourself, but you can't be an operator forever. Right? You have to be an owner of the business at some point. You got to start firing yourself from certain roles in the business. And let's be honest, most people, Dave, don't want to make these calls.
No, it's not that much fun. Listen, it is fun. It is fun when you first do it because it has the novelty factor and you're excited about the business. And as the person who's going to be doing the investment turnover and making the money off of it, you're anchored to the end of the process. So it is exciting, right? That potential, that's very exciting to get on those phones and do it. That lasts for about a week.
Well, and
it's tough.
What's interesting, Dave, so we did this podcast before. The audio was messed up. In the first podcast we did, we talked about how to go out there and recruit and train and manage your own caller if you wanted to do that yourself. But I don't want to do that. To be honest, I don't think the audience wants to do that. I don't think that they want to go through all that. They just want a service where they know that they can get really good talent. They're going to show up. They're going to do the work. They're going to send in hot leads. I mean, I think that's what everybody that has the budget to be able to do that is looking for. So what I'd rather have a conversation about, Dave, is I think that this is a critical factor between you guys and everybody else. And that is at the top end of your guys' service are Americans making the calls that don't live in the continental U.S. Typically, maybe you have a few, but for the most part, you guys recruit expatriates that live in wherever, South America, Central America, that make those calls. And to me, that's your guys' unique power, because I've had the same callers for 5 years. Okay, and there's no way I have that if they live in the continental U.S. They're going to be looking for other opportunities all the time. And so speak to that, and speak to the way that, I mean, you guys could recruit anywhere in the world, anywhere, you know, with technology now they can live anywhere. So how do you guys do this, and do you think it has as big of an advantage as I do?
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's, very much the inception of what we were trying to do. We were wanting to get individuals who were from the States, who had lived in the States, who were more than likely closer to middle age and had decided to live somewhere else in the world, even not necessarily for retirement, but, for travel or relocation or whatever. And a lot of these locations, the cost of living is considerably less than it is in the States, as is the opportunity for work.
Yeah.
Especially remote work like this. So it was kind of a uniting of a need and, these people over here that could use some work. And it's worked out very well when we find these individuals that have the understanding of the culture. They know what a cul-de-sac is. They don't have to look it up. They know how to pronunciate condominium without any difficulty.
Sure.
And this is really important. You can definitely find people to do this service for you that have no experience in the States, right? You can get a VA from almost anywhere. You can give them a script. They may have great English too, but it's the relatability, right? The reason why TTP is called Talk to People is for that very value that's found when we connect and we actually speak with people and understand the story, the landscape of their life behind the property, why they're there, why they're thinking about leaving, all this stuff. That's not going to happen in a two-dimensional conversation. It's going to happen with people that we can connect with. So that's where we focused. It's been a good business model. It takes a lot of effort on our part to find people that are, in all parts of the world that are willing to do this work and jump in and are qualified to do so. But we found great individuals, and we have a good recruiting system for finding more, and it's been working very, really well. I mean, this is what I tell the agents all the time. Your job is to make the leads conversion rate increase for our clients nonstop.
Yep.
You get better at your job, then it should be the percentage of leads they're able to close should become higher and higher and higher all the time, because you're doing your work the way you should. And that's what we focus on, making sure we're saving time. Yeah.
In the Rhino Tribe, I put together a course called Scaling Your Cold Calling Team. And in that, I think one of the most critical parts, at least for our business and for everybody that implements this so far, has been audit every call that's 3 minutes or longer, right? So if you have the ability to record in your state, audit those calls that are recorded that are 3 minutes or longer, and just work with your calling rep every morning, 15, 20, 30 minutes, 80% positive on the calls, 20% you need to work on this.
Right.
And it does a couple different things. One, it's going to help sharpen their skills faster because you can give them little nuances, right? And what I mean by little nuances is you could tell them, hey, listen, in this area that we're going after, there's the Mall of America. It's the biggest mall in America. It's really popular. People are going to talk about it. Or this is where a very famous golf course is. Or this is where, Disney is around the corner. Whatever it is, right? Just there's a big movie theater. Just like local, hyper-local specific things that you can give your caller so that they can have better conversations with that property owner is important. But also, when these phone prospectors, which a lot of people call VAs, are kind of treated like garbage in most of the time by most people. They're just like, they put them in. They'll work. You put them to work for a little bit, and then you get rid of them if you want. If you can't close the deal, if it doesn't fit into your schedule, if you're not getting on those leads fast enough, or if you just don't know how to manage people yet. You just haven't built those leadership skills, so they feel like a little bit of, I could get fired at any moment type of thing. And when they're in that mental space, they're not as good. Their critical thinking is dulled, right? But if they know that you're pouring into them and they are important and they are doing so great for you and they're really part of your company, and not only that, the leads they sent into you actually are being nurtured and taken care of, then they're going to be better on the phones. And that's what I've seen time and time again. So if you're going to be hiring somebody and you don't have the schedule to be able to have those calls, figure it out. Figure it out how to make those people feel important and part of your team.
Another tip for the people out there that are going to do this and do the monitoring of their agents themselves, yes, of course, the recordings over 3 are going to give you the meat and potatoes. But it's a good idea to check the ones that are like less than a minute as well. Here's the reason why. Sometimes agents develop bad habits that come off at the beginning of a call, and it drops the contact rate. And this is something that's super crucial because you have leads that are slipping right through your fingers that you never know about. So you got to check those too, because that'll show you if people are clicking right after some part of the beginning of their speech. Maybe they're not connecting and saying hello fast enough. Maybe there's a pause. Maybe they're using too many fillers like and like. Any of those things can cause contact rate to drop, and they're just not interested. If you have someone who's too stuck on customer service mode and they're like, hello, Mr. Mike, how you doing today, sir? Click, contact rate goes down.
Yep.
So, we look out for that stuff too.
Awesome. What about just their overall motivation? Do you think that people can you hire somebody that, we have callers that go 30 hours a week, and the energy seems fine, but I've had callers in the past where the morning's cool and then the afternoon's kind of sluggish. So how do you guys monitor that?
Well, we have an account manager that's assigned to every client, and that account manager handles the communications, management, training if need be for all the agents on that account. It is their job to listen to almost every recording so that the client doesn't have to give proper feedback on anything that needs to be changed, make sure that protocols are being followed. As far as energy level goes, it's a huge thing in our business. When we have new agents come in, we don't allow them to work full time right off the bat. They have to put in time, 20 hours a week, until we've established that they have a good handle on the work and their energy level is as good at the beginning of that 4-hour shift as it is at the end. Then we'll trust them with a 6 or 8-hour shift. But every time we make a transition or get a new account, the first 2 weeks we call probation because the account manager is like white on rice. They're there, they're listening to every calls, they're giving immediate feedback. There are some dialers that are out there that allow for silent listening. So you can actually live listen to the calls as they're going and give suggestions to the agent. We use that very delicately because that can become a little bit difficult to deal with as an agent, having somebody whisper in your ear. But these tools allow us to make sure that we fit them in, get them tuned into the account, make sure that those limiting factors aren't happening right off the bat because contact rate is huge. It's something that we monitor in the reports that we do as well.
Yeah, what do the reports look like?
So
I mean, I
we
know
give,
what they look like, but
yeah, we give out a weekly report to all of our clients for each of their agents that gives a bunch of KPIs. Many of them we use internally just so that we can gauge how the account's doing. And our clients are like, why are you sending me this mess? I don't really care, but we share all the information. You know, it's going to include ALPH, your average lead per hour, average lead per contact, the amount of hours that were dialed out of the hours that were supposed to be dialed. You know, sometimes issues come up, and if you have 20 hours that were supposed to be dialed, it doesn't get dialed. That's all reported, keeping track of, so we can be on top of things. Also, you know, the contact rate is one of the biggest factors, and we look at that all the time. Each account has a way of kind of finding its zone for what is an acceptable contact rate, and then we'll just watch that. And if it drops out below the parameters, then we're immediately looking for what the factors are. You know, sometimes it's the list. You know, sometimes the list has been dialed too many times, and it's time to go on and put it in the ground to get a new one. But if it's anything to do with the calls themselves, that's what we focus on. Our AMs are looking to fix anything in their power to fix, which is going to be how the agent is handling the calls, rotating the data, things of that nature, and then report to the clients, to you investor, anything that's outside of our control. Let you know what the limiting factor is so we can get it changed as quickly as possible. Our business runs best if our clients are closing deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not a short-term thing. We like long-term relationships. So we point out all the factors. Yep.
Two questions for you. ALPH. What's a good one? What's a good average leads per hour?
I mean, it really depends on your campaign. I would say in general, what we shoot for is like 0.25, right? So if you get a 0.25 average lead per hour, that means that you're within a 4-hour shift. You know, you're getting in there, you're getting one per. If you can actually get to 0.5 where you're knocking it out, and every 2 hours you're getting a lead, and it's a solid lead, then great. You know, we do have clients that change the parameters for what they accept as a lead.
Yeah,
They'd say, oh, you know, don't filter so hard. We don't want to miss out on any deals. As long as they're interested, send it. So that'll skew the KPI. We have some agents that, you know, they have 30 leads in a 4-hour shift because all they need is someone to say, yeah, I'm somewhat interested. But if it's more aligned with the TTP program and looking at getting 4 pillars and having at least 3 out of the 4, making sure the motivation is understood, which is what we aim for, then yeah, I would say we're looking at a 0.25 as a minimum.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So one lead every 4 hours, guys. That's expectation, or at least, you know, if we're doing our job of making sure that the lists are good and they're cleaned up and they're fresh, then yeah, I think we're well above that.
And just to be clear,
we do a really good job.
The 0.25 is definitely not the goal. That's just
right.
the minimum. Like 0.5 is usually where we're aiming at. But like I said, the parameters get set with the account manager and the client after we have a little bit of data and that it's run, so we can look and see where we want to be. And then we set the parameter as per account and look at that, reporting back to the client when it drops.
Yeah, and just some stats here for you guys. 105 days is typical. This is my, in 2023, from the initial contact to closing, our average deal is 105 days. Okay, so this isn't something that you're like, oh, well, I can do this for a couple weeks and then just get some deals and then keep rolling it forward. I would definitely set aside, and this is just my suggestion, definitely set aside 3 months minimum of a budget. Wherever you're going in, whatever your budget is, set aside 3 months to be able to really give this campaign enough legs and you enough experience going through and doing your lead follow-up and going on your appointments or offering, if you're doing it virtually, making your offers to really build the momentum. What do you think, Dave?
No, agreed 100%. Not only short interactions won't give you much time, but you might get lucky. You might get a contract or two.
Sure.
And that's a one-off. Then you have to re-engage again when you're ready to. What we like to encourage our clients to look at is creating a system where they can build a pipeline. A lot of the greatest leads that we have that come through for our clients are ones that are actually nurtured by our agents before handed over. If we have the parameters set for where we hand over a lead and it hasn't quite got there yet, we'll do follow-up calls until it gets to the point it wants to be, then hand it over. You can't do that with a short engagement. You'll miss those leads. And for your own timeline, as you are building leads, you're going to get people that are ready, they want to do it, but they need 3 months, they need 6 months, they need a year. That's fine. That time will come. And as you're building it, you're going to be surprised. Like all of a sudden, all those ones from a year ago come and bing, 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 and you've got 3 contracts you're closing in a week. And that's why we build time. That's why we build those pipelines, because that creates the future. It's not just a one-off.
I love it, Dave. I love your style, black shirt, logo on the T-shirt. I don't know where you got that from.
I'm not sure.
It's looking good, bro. I love it. Any final thoughts? Anything else that you think that people should know? Guys, listen, watch this, go through this. I mean, this is all you need to know to be able to really bring on somebody really great onto your team. And I'm telling you, if you look at our income is equal to the amount of value we provide. We can't provide value if we don't know if somebody wants to sell their property or not. And then going a level deeper, we can't really, as wholesalers and real estate investors, really get into those big opportunities unless we know what problems these people have with their property. There are people every single day that have personal problems with their properties, and we need to go out and find them, and it is critical that you have somebody of quality and experience being the tip of the spear if you're not going to do it yourself. That's just a fact. If you made the decision, you're not going to make the calls, you don't have the time to make the calls, you've made enough calls now to where you've got the budget to be able to hire, call Motivated Sellers. It's a no-brainer, guys. They work with all the budgets. So definitely go. Where? Go to callmotivatedsellers.com.
Callmotivatedsellers.com. Tell them that you came from TTP, and we'll bump you to the front of the line, and make sure you get on the phone with one of our sales reps that can help you figure out where you are, when you want to engage, and how you want to engage.
Awesome. That's it, guys. Callmotivatedsellers.com. It's who I've been using. I mean, I've made, and this isn't just to be bombastic here, but millions, multiple millions from the deals that you guys have sent in. And we've been working with the company since 2017. I mean, it's been a long time. So couldn't endorse anybody higher. So awesome. Dave, thanks for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
For everybody else out there, so many resources. We've got the Facebook group, Wholesaling Inc. Make sure that you go in there and start connecting with everybody in the group. Go to wholesalinginc.com. We've got a tremendous amount of resources there. And if you're interested in joining the Rhino Tribe, what we look at with anybody that sets up a call with our team is 4 main factors. What market are you looking to do business in? Are you new or experienced? Do you have a budget? What's your budget? Is it low or is it high? And then what is your schedule? Are you doing this part-time or full-time? And then based on that, we put together a customized blueprint for you to follow that's specific to you. That's why we have so many successful people. It's because it's very, very, very specific to your situation. So if you're interested in that, go to wholesalinginc.com. My name is Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People, and that is it. I love you, and I encourage you, as always, to go out there and talk to people. Till next time, see ya.